Hello, hello. As the last time, I went over a Japanese cruiser, the Furutaka. This time I decided it's time for an American cruiser, and I selected my absolute favorite cruiser until I unlocked the Des Moines. That is the Cleveland. Honestly, before I got the Des Moines, this was my absolute favorite American cruiser. It just it feels so powerful in every single way. Of course, the armor on it is very thin, and it's very susceptible to AP damage. And well, I chose this game because you see I'm mostly against T8s. There's a T8 carrier. There's what, three North Carolinas. There's a bunch of other stuff. No Pensacola, you don't want to go there. I'm doing you a favor. Don't go there. Please don't go there, Hawkeye. I don't understand what's with Pensacola. Pensacola's wanting to scout this middle in the start and should like pick fights at the start. The ship who picks the fight in the middle is the one who's going to be focused the most, and as a Pensacola, that's the last thing you want to do. Please, Hawkeye, don't go there. Come on, mate. I tried to help you. I'm gonna write a quick eulogy for Hawkeye. Rest in pieces. Because the Pensacola lacks the concealment and the armor to be able to do the stuff that he's doing. It's so easily detectable. He's already being shot at. I might as well capitalize on this since everyone is going to be shooting him, so I might as well capitalize on this moment and see if I can land some shells on the Pensacola. You notice I'm using AP. Oh Jesus, this Pensacola is melting already. You notice I'm using AP. People often use HE on the Cleveland because it's so strong, but they underestimate the sheer power of AP on the ship. In fact, against other cruisers, AP is really what you want to be using, unless they're angled. At the moment I don't even care if it's angled because he's a Pensacola. I'm pretty sure as soon as I start penning him I'm going to be landing citadels. Let's see. Shit, aiming too far. Need to aim further back. As I said, as soon as I start penning him I'll be getting citadels. I got another citadel at 8 hits, Jesus. That was a lot of damage. Yeah, he's down to... I knocked a third of his HP off that quickly. Our Pensacola survived because he understood to get the fuck out of there as soon as he started taking damage. I have no idea why he went there even to begin with, but some things are just mysteries. Here I fuck up a bit, because honestly this is one of my favorite positions to be in on the Cleveland, because you can use the arcs of the guns to shoot over the hill, but there was a plane spotting me. So I was actually quite at risk there for a few seconds while that plane was spotting me. I'm again a bit at the risk. Honestly, this spot is a lot more volatile when there's true carriers on the enemy team. There's a much higher risk of being constantly spotted. So I try to keep myself slightly moving all the time, so I can still use this position, but I'm not a sitting still target, which is superbly easy to one-shot. In fact, with all the planes now, I think I'm going to just start nailing this Colorado and sailing away. I'm trying to keep the cliff here between me and all those ships, so I'm a hard target to hit. You saw someone's tried to shoot me, but since I've already moved away, they were whipped completely. Now, Colorado is a pretty good target. It's a very slow-moving battleship and it's fairly big, so obviously I'm just going to be raining HE on him, hoping I get some fires started. Constantly keeping an eye out. I see the Cleveland is shooting me there, so I'll start changing my course now. I was constantly, between every volley I zoom out to see if there's any battleships or anything visible that can shoot me. That's something you need to do on a cruiser. You need to constantly be wary of anyone spotting you or any battleship aiming their guns at you, because if they are, you can get deleted very, very quickly, and this is something that's worth learning quite quickly. Now the Colorado died. There's no point for me to be on this side anymore. Like, we already have so many people pushing down this side and they're taking their sweet time. So rather than join them, I'm gonna go to the other side of the map, since there's probably... Usually when your team pushes down one side, the enemy team pushes up the other. So I'm gonna try to capitalize on that and see if I can get some action on the other side. And as usual, as I said about this position, which I really like, is that once again I'm trying to abuse this terrain. You see I'm not detected. This is why you always take the detection skill on cruisers, so you know if you're detected or not, because it's impossible to know if there's a plane somewhere you can't see that's detecting you or something similar. That's why the concealment skill is something I always recommend on all ships. It's so useful to know. That the target dodged my AP volley, so I'm just gonna see if I can get some HE volleys on North Carolina. You notice, by the way, that I'm not using AFT on this captain. That's because, first of all, AFT is going to get nerfed in the next patch, and second of all, I thought it would be a bit unfair to make a T6 commentary where you have a T4 captain skill, since I don't know if you unlock if you have that skill by then on the captain, but I figured I'd play it safe, so I made a kind of a fresh captain for this thing. So my captain is pretty much probably under-leveled compared to what yours would be playing the Cleveland. So it would give a fair presentation of what you can expect the ship to perform. So I don't have any AFT, which means these guys are now setting out of my range and there's no way I can hit them. One last volley, then it's time to bail. I'm not going to achieve anything here. But on the other hand, there's a Nuremberg on the other side of the map that's pushing up. That's something I definitively want to go fight. Now, people often highlight the Cleveland's ability to set fire to battleships, but as I showed earlier with the Pensacola, the AP damage on the ship is insane. You have such good pen, 155mm at this tier, just eats through cruisers. Hell, it even eats through higher tier cruisers. It's just so strong, you got so many guns, such a fast fire rate. It's so much damage. And you notice I'm actually going to give broadside to this Nuremberg, because I'd rather give broadside to him and angle myself towards all the ships south of me. You see, there's a ton of battleships south of me, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm angled basically against them. I keep glancing there to see if it looks like anyone is basically turning towards me. I'm looking at the minimap all the time, really careful. I'm turning a bit more, I want to angle myself more away from them. But you see the AP damage that this is the same tier cruiser as I am, T6, just like the Cleveland is. And you see this, that was, what, half his HP gone in one volley, 2 citadels, he just instantly melts. He got just diced up and eaten by the Cleveland. Nuremberg cannot take on a Cleveland. Like, if he kites and at max range, sure. But if he gets close, this is very much like the Des Moines. The closer you get, the scarier the Cleveland gets when you're a cruiser. Well, probably a destroyer too, but generally for cruisers, this is a really scary ship to get close to. I'm keeping my angled course. I would like to close the distance with this Farragut faster, but I don't want to make any mistakes of suddenly giving broadside to any possible hidden ships south of me. It's only when I've cleared this 6 line, you see the 6 line I'm sailing on? It's only when I'm starting to clear that 6 line that I'll feel comfortable turning right. And it's just a safety precaution, really. Because I'm still closing the distance with the Farragut. He's obviously trying to rush our North Carolina, or he's harassing him with his guns. But I'm harassing him in turn, and my harassment hurts a lot more than his does. Overshot just a bit, but he's dead now. He's too close to be able to avoid my volleys anymore. And now these planes there's some Independence planes in there, and there's some Lexington planes in there. There's an Atagana. I use HE while I'm closing the distance with him, and basically while he's angled towards me. This is a T8, the Ataga is a T8 cruiser with fairly good armor. So it's a good idea, see if I can get a fire going or something. Maybe bait him into using HE. Now I switch to AP because he's giving me broadside, and I feel like I've closed the distance enough. And you'd think T8 cruiser, he's gonna wreck this poor Cleveland, but mate, the Cleveland is a strong ship. There's a reason why I love this ship. It has 2 citadels, 8 hits, another rain of fire, another chunk of HP. Oh, well, someone else killed him before I could, but you see the huge damage. Okay, now I got the Indy planes and Lexington planes coming for me, so I pop my AA and I start shooting them down. And this is another one of the huge strengths of the Cleveland. Basically, this anti-air is insane. Your anti-air is magnificently strong, and your range is actually 5 kilometers. Once again, I don't have advanced firing training, so it's not longer. But 5 kilometers is plenty enough to just wreck all these planes coming for you. Shot down a few bombers, since I'm pretty confident in being... he came too close. He dropped those too close, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it didn't have time to activate. It was pretty close, actually. I was a bit too cocky there, but still it worked out just fine. And I'm just shooting down these planes. And the fact that these planes, you see which direction these planes are flying back towards, or which way that was going, that tells me that the carriers are behind these 2 huge rocks here. That's where they've hidden. Someone just asked in chat if anyone has any idea where the carriers are. Well, I have a pretty good idea now since I saw where these planes were going. That's a pretty common mistake carriers do. They never juke their planes, like they send them off in one way and then they return them back. They always have them automatically return straight back to the ship. That's of course the fastest way, but that gives me a great idea of where the enemy is or where the carriers are. Now, there's a bit of a problem here. I'm facing an enemy Cleveland. I don't want to repair this fire now because there's a huge risk of taking another fire since it is a Cleveland and he's using HE. But I'm just going to be closing the distance with him. He has more HP than I do. Actually, quite a bit more HP. But unlike him, I'm going to be using AP while he's using HE. But he's turning away and fleeing. That's interesting. I didn't expect him to flee this quickly. I thought he would like... Now I repair. I got another fire. This time I risk the repair. Because if that thing burns the full duration, then I'll be taking so much damage. You see the chunks of damage I'm doing with the AP though? I'm surprised he's fleeing though. He's literally seems to be shitting himself. He's not even shooting back anymore. He's just trying to get away. Which is weird. I mean, I don't understand this, like, here you see the very different mentalities of people playing this game. I would personally have straight up charged. If I was in his situation, I would have charged and took the fight because I had an HP advantage. I could have just kept behind the rocks while fighting me and avoided the fire from the North Carolinas behind me. But this guy obviously got scared shitless. I got more planes coming for me now, so I'm activating defensive AA. Focus targeting the torpedo planes, and I'm turning hard right while shooting at these guys. You see, these are Lexington planes, T8 planes, but you know, the Cleveland anti-air, it doesn't give a shit if you're T8 planes or not. It's still capable of shooting them now. He's trying to get the perfect drop, but the longer he spends in my AA, the more planes he's gonna lose. At this point I'm pretty confident he's lost too many planes to be able to hit me. Yeah, he tried to get the perfect drop, but the Cleveland anti-air is so goddamn strong with defensive AA on that he lost all his planes trying to achieve that. Of course, this did, however, have the impact of causing me to fall far behind. As you can see, I'm chasing both the Cleveland and Lexington here. And because I had to maneuver so much to dodge these planes, they managed to gain some distance on me. Trying to get some damage on them now. Actually shooting the Lexington now because my defensive AA is now on cooldown, so I don't want him to send another volley of planes. Getting him on fire will prevent planes from taking off, which would be quite beneficial for me. Not having the best of luck with fires though. You see, I'm actually turning my ship quite a bit. I'm losing some speed here, but I have to be careful. I only have 5k HP. I can't risk eating too much damage from this Cleveland who's constantly spamming shells backwards at me. So I'm making myself a hard target to hit. The negative side of this, of course, is while I make myself hard to hit, I'm also losing speed constantly while chasing this. So they are basically constantly gaining on me or constantly leaving me behind. But at this point, if I would go in a straight line, I would be too of an easy of a target to hit, so not worth it. Got 2 fires, but he had his repair up. Oh, that dispersion. This guy's getting so lucky. Man, that Cleveland is one lucky. Well, whatever. At this point I'll close the distance with the Independence. The Independence is much slower than the Lexington, so he's not able to flee as quickly as that one is, so this guy is pretty much being left for dead here. The Cleveland could have easily prevented this if he would have had some balls and just taken the fight with me straight up. Now, of course, he's sending torp planes for me. I focused fire them already, and thanks to the maneuverability of the Cleveland I'm able to dodge these torps. I focus fire the bomber planes now. I'm saving my defensive AA because one bomber plane is not worth using it for. Especially if... Oh, that was actually Lexington bombers, but still, it wasn't worth it. Because it was unlikely I would get too many hits. Flamu's such a bully. Yeah, I guess they're not liking the fact that I'm pretty much alone pushing back everyone from this side of the map. And this is just the power against carriers that you have as a Cleveland. No, it was the Lexington that said it. He's not having. Oh, he's not having a good time. He's been trying to bomb me a couple of times, and I've just shot down all the planes. And now I'm harassing. No, the Lexington died. The Cleveland died. I'm harassing the Independence. And this is just the pure power of the Cleveland. You gotta consider this is a T8 matchmaking. I'm a T6 ship. I'm 2 tiers lower than these guys, and I'm just shitting on them. I'm straight up just taking a dump on these guys. I actually got this kill. That's nice. And someone killed that, and that's the end of the game. This was probably my first win today because I just bought the Cleveland to make this commentary. Yeah, 14k XP because first win today. I just bought this ship. And team score. I wonder how all those T8s feel when there's a Cleveland at the very top, a T6 toughing the scoreboards. That looks pretty amusing. 23 planes shot down in the head. Damage wise, damn, that's actually not too bad of a damage. It's like a bit over 130k damage. That's pretty nice. But anyway, let's go over to modules. Right, as usual, I will start with the modules. The very first thing you'll want is of course the range upgrade, because you can see how much I needed my range in that game, so you can obviously imagine how important it is throughout your leveling or grinding or whatever. So naturally pick your range upgrade first, then you get the hull and then the gun upgrade, which is actually fantastic. It gives you a huge DPM boost. This ship doesn't really have many upgrades, so it's quite straightforward. Upgrade wise, consumable wise, I prefer to use on all my ships honestly, I prefer to use the premium repair, and I prefer to use the premium defensive AA, but that's entirely up to you. This isn't actually necessary, but if you happen in these two carrier games, you can be very offensive if you have premium defensive AA, because the planes have a hard time doing anything to you at all. And I use the standard catapult fighter. Upgrade wise, gun upgrade, main battery upgrade that is, very straightforward. Accuracy for main guns, once again they're your bread and butter, no reason not to upgrade them. I have propulsion mod. It's kind of because citadels tend to knock out the engine. If you want to plan for the future, I'd actually recommend getting damage control instead, since using propulsion mod at higher tier is pretty pointless since your engine never breaks on higher tier cruisers. So this is for the future, this is more for now, so to say. And this one might be a bit controversial, not everyone might agree with this one, but I prefer damage control mod on the Cleveland, because you usually get spammed with so much HE on it that I prefer to not have to endure the full duration of the fire. But honestly, planning for the future, once again, you can see on my Des Moines, actually no, I'm still using on Des Moines this one. I guess because the rudder shift is so good on all these ships that I never actually saw the necessity? Jesus, I can't talk. I never saw the necessity to upgrade to the rudder shift. I guess I just prefer the damage control mod on these ships. This isn't naturally automatically the best choice, this is just my preference, but if you want to choose something else, then it's obviously steering gears. Never go for propulsion, it's completely useless in this case. In this case I think it's a bit of a what you feel like between these two. Captain perk wise, I've obviously gotten the situation awareness, and I've gotten secondary armor quite early. Now, this basic firing training upgrade isn't really that future-proof, because it's not that strong later in the game. You'll basically only have use for it for AA, and especially with the upcoming nerf to advanced firing training, and I think they also are nerfing this, so this is probably not that good of a choice. So what you want to go is just situation awareness, expert marksman, and once again we get to the argument of future-proof versus now. If you want to go future-proof, then go superintendent, because at T9 you'll have to go superintendent regardless, because you get a self-heal and you get another extra heal if you use the superintendent perk, which automatically makes it the best perk. But for the now, I prefer to see the torpedoes coming earlier, because at these low tires there's a lot of spammy destroyers like the Minikaze and such that constantly spam torps your way. So seeing them coming early I found is the best. Of course, usually I would go, actually, especially with the patch coming out, the next perk is definitely going to be Demolition Expert, which is something I already use on my Des Moines, Demolition Expert, simply because this doesn't work on 203mm guns, so there's no reason to use it.
But yeah, I think that was pretty much my hopefully short and sweet Cleveland commentary.